Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Break at the Apex podcast. The best corner to have the best F1 content from down under in South Africa. Now, before the two wonderful gents say hello, I just want to hear from everybody. Did everybody see the Ferrari one too that just came out of nowhere? I mean, come on, BT and Graham, how you guys doing tonight?
I'll let BT go first because I'm sure he's probably more excited than I am.
Probably yes.
All I can say is, Lewis Hamilton, you've made the right decision, my dog. You made the right
Fact.
decision, my dog. That's all.
Oh,
That's all I'm
oh,
going to say.
Well,
oh,
I'm glad he made the decision because it's not looking too great for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're going to get into those topics. But everybody, before we jump into it, remember to drop a like down below. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe down below. And don't forget to ding that bell. Let's get straight into it. Now, obviously, I want to cover Ferrari first because there's a bigger topic that waits beyond that. Now, first of all, guys, I haven't, like, since Monza, Leclerc has been on this upwards trend. And what I wrote down here was Leclerc is becoming ruthless, and I love it. He is becoming so much more efficient with his moves. And I mean, the team radios between Leclerc and Ferrari this weekend was just like, okay, this is the options. Leclerc's like, yeah, we should stick to this. Okay, how does the tires feel? They still feel good, but don't leave me out too long. It was just so good. And I love the Charles that we are starting to get right now. Graham, your opinion.
Yeah, I think quite honestly, Charles Leclerc is definitely stepped it up. And quite frankly, I'm really impressed with it because I mean, this is a kid that we've always known that has the talent, but we've always been saying like, he doesn't have the championship quality. He's too nice. He's too this. He's too that. Uh, this year, he's been probably the most consistent we've ever seen him. And quite frankly, as it stands, he is looking as ruthless as he can be. He's telling the team what to do now instead of second guessing or asking. He's telling them,
Mm.
let's do this to keep it safe, play it safe. Yeah, maybe the playing it safe option is not always the best, but I think in his situation, it was the calculated risk. Let's just do what we need to do to play it safe. No asking the team, no waiting for the team to decide what to do. He took the bull by the horns and he made it happen. So I'm quite impressed. I'm sure we'll talk about Carlos soon as well, but I'm even more impressed with him for different reasons, completely different reasons. But Charles Leclerc absolutely dominated this race and in such good fashion. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. BT, your opinion on good old Charlie boy.
Oh, thank you, Graham, for those fantastic, fantastic words. Um, uh, look, look, as Graham said, we always knew he had that in him. And
Mm.
what I can say to add on what Graham said is that Leclerc was becoming ruthless and becoming a world champion driver at at the right time.
Absolutely.
He's peaking at the right time because that other man that's coming to that team is not going to give him an easy way of actually beating him or qualifying
Yes.
above him, anything like that. So Leclerc is peaking at
Mm.
the right time, and a bit he's showing that he's ready for a teammate like Lewis Hamilton. Let's just face it.
Yes.
And Lewis Hamilton is also paying attention to what Leclerc is doing. And if you look at that combo between Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, we're going to have a similar thing that McLaren has with Lando and Piastri.
Oh, yes.
I could say there will be a debate on which pair drivers are the best in the grid, and I can't wait to see that next year. Leclerc is doing a fantastic job. He has shown this season that he's capable of actually being number one driver. I know there's no such thing in Ferrari. They also sticking to what McLaren is saying that we don't have a number one driver, but Leclerc is there for a reason, and he's
Oh,
not leaving
yes.
at the end of the season for that reason because Ferrari knows what Leclerc is capable of. And what's missing now on Leclerc's career is just to win a championship with Ferrari, even one. I think even one championship with Ferrari will make Leclerc one of the best drivers to ever do it.
No.
That's just
I
my
agree
take.
completely.
But yeah,
Oh.
no, fantastic from Leclerc. He's reading the race. I remember I've always criticized him on not reading the race properly, or not being aware of what's happening in the race. And he's slowly learning from science.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's learning from science how
Yeah.
to operate in terms of what's happening in between the race or different scenarios in the race. So for me, that's an A plus. The ruthlessness, the awareness, the aura is building as well. The aura is building as well, and that's good. And that is a package for a world championship driver. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh no, BT, I completely agree with you. Like, look, people criticize Sainz now that he's leaving Ferrari a lot, but nobody can tell me with a straight face that Leclerc hasn't learned some things from Sainz. Obviously, Sainz has learned from Leclerc, but I think when it comes to that on-track presence and awareness that you spoke about, there's certain things that Charles is busy doing now that I'm like, that's just Sainz last year in Singapore. That's exactly what he's doing, and I love it. And I mean, Graham, you touched upon this. People can say what they want. Ferrari dominated this race. Like,
They did.
Charles felt like Lando back in the Netherlands at the Dutch GP. He just romped away and nobody could do a single thing about him. I have to say, those last 20 laps, it seemed for a small stage like Sainz was really gunning for him. But as soon as Sainz started closing, Leclerc would just put in a quick 2 fastest laps just to build that second again. And they yo-yoed like that the whole time. But the thing that I want to get to is, and I'm going to put these two topics together because they really go together well, is, first of all, Ferrari can win the constructors. There's a legitimate chance. The points gap is not that big, even to McLaren. And the thing for me is, McLaren's big concern concerning the constructors is not Red Bull. It's Ferrari. Because all of a sudden, not just Leclerc switched on, Sainz this weekend was rapid. And he always does this when it comes to the end of the season. Those last 6 to 10 races, Sainz just switches on. And I honestly think, and this is not the Ferrari fanboy within me coming out, this is honestly my concern for McLaren. Ferrari are a massive threat for this Constructors' Championship, especially if for the final 5 races, they have the same pace as they did today. That is a big concern. So, BT, I just want to know from you, do you honestly think that our boys can take the Constructors here? Because I think they can.
I think they can. The question is now is that is the Ferrari car in the same caliber with the McLaren in terms of not speed, in terms of being a hybrid car? That is my question now. Will Ferrari dominate Mexico? We don't know yet. But we do know that Leclerc was third last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
He was in the podium. So they do they do actually perform well on that track. But the question now is, can either Sainz or Leclerc win the race? And by Ferrari winning the race, Verstappen is chilling. Verstappen is happy if Ferrari is winning races because Norris is going further and further back from the championship. So I could see yesterday Verstappen I can't say he was happy. He was more calm because he knows now if the Ferrari boys keep on showing up, I just need to finish third, second, or maybe fourth sometime. Or I just need to finish above Norris, which is it will be difficult to do so. But
he
as
doesn't
long as
need
the
to.
Ferraris are winning races, Verstappen is securing the championship. We know that. But to be honest with you, I do believe that Ferrari could win the championship if the car is dominant the way we saw it last night. Just looking forward. I can't wait to the Las Vegas track. Can't wait to see Leclerc in that track again. That race is going to be epic.
For sure.
That's going to be an epic race.
Yes. Now, Graham, I want your opinion on this as well, because you always have a more broad view on these types of topics. But do you think Ferrari can actually go for the constructors here? Because I really think it's a very good possibility.
I mean, you can say it how it is, right? I'm not a fanboy, so I'm going to give a non-fanboy point of view. Let's be, You said, I'm not just saying this as a fanboy, but you are though. Let's be honest. It's just how it works, you know?
My inner Ferrari fanboy will never die, but honestly, out of like looking out of a logical perspective, if this is their pace till the end of the season and McLaren and
Mm.
Red Bull don't figure something out to get to them, there is a legitimate chance for this to happen.
It's tough, right? Because I think if you look at the bigger picture, I think you look at Saturday, for example, and Max was the one who just pulled away, right? I think that Red Bull did find something, and I think that they've got the car, but they just couldn't get those mediums working. Apparently, and Max doesn't even know this because they asked Max and he didn't even know. Apparently, there was an issue on his car in the first stint. Uh, that was then supposed to be solved at the pits. Okay, cool. Whether that was real or not, whether they solved it or
It
not, we
was
don't know.
apparently it was a problem in the front wing.
Something, yeah.
Ted Kravitz did say that they did try to fix it when Max put it at that time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Max doesn't even know about it. He said he didn't even bother asking. So that's just what I love about Max, man. He just cares about the job, right? He doesn't care to ask about stuff like that. But the reality is that the car did not work with the hards at all. Like you could see
Yeah.
he was struggling, right? So
Yeah.
again, you go to Mexico and that's usually hunting grounds for Red Bull. That's usually, so you look at it, there's two different things. You can say, okay, Red Bull clearly have found something again and they're sort of back in the fight. Or you can look at it that Ferrari are definitely a step ahead now. But Ferrari didn't have any upgrades. So how? How? So how are they a step ahead? So either McLaren did a change of some sort that's pinned them back, or the track just suited Ferrari very well.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, you gotta have to just take it with a pinch of salt. I'm personally just taking it with a pinch of salt. I think I'm not going to go into that hype train now of Ferrari are in the fight. Look, I think Red Bull, they're 40 points behind McLaren. Ferrari's a further 4 or 5 points behind Red Bull. Can Ferrari beat Red Bull? Like, it's not
Just
like
say it. Just say it.
It's not a question. It's not a question. We're going to
it's
get to that. It's not a
it's
question.
there's no question. Listen, if Lawson qualified where Yuki qualified, he was beating Perez this weekend. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, so like it's not a question. Is Ferrari going to beat Red Bull? You shouldn't even have to ask. That's a yes. Like it's just a yes. Um, can Ferrari catch McLaren? There's a 40-point difference there, 44-point difference. I'm not going to lie to you guys. In today's F1 world, reliability is not a massive thing. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But I also don't want to take that hope away because Ferrari clearly do have a good package. Whether they'll be able to execute it, who knows? But from my point of view, I'm not like, just to sort of like get to the point of the question. I'm not going to hype too much over Ferrari, um, in that sense of are they going to fight for this? But yeah, for sure, they've got a chance. They definitely have a chance. They've got a good package. They just need to make use of it.
Yeah, just to touch quickly up on something that you said, Graham, and then I want to move on to the next part. The reason I think Ferrari, besides the fact that the track suited their car this weekend, the reason I think Ferrari have been so fast. Remember when they brought their upgrades post summer break? That is when they had their drop off. When McLaren, Red Bull, and even Mercedes were faster than them, and they brought a absolutely humongous upgrade package to the Dutch Grand Prix. And Ferrari themselves have mentioned that they couldn't figure out the little bits of detail to make that package work. Now all the other teams have got these late season upgrades, and they have to go through that same process that Ferrari did 6 races ago. So Ferrari got their package, they've refined it, and they know this is the fastest the car is going to be for the season. Let's stick to it and make the best of the situation. And I honestly think, again, no Ferrari fanboy here, and I know I'm saying that wearing the Ferrari cap, but I honestly think there's a good chance that they can catch McLaren. But in any case, now I'm quickly going to go on like a 90-second rant here because this is something that not just on WhatsApp groups, but on my Twitter and my Instagram exploded as soon as it happened. Now, I am not referring directly towards the incidents this weekend between Max and Lando, okay? And I completely understand, and I'm of the opinion that Lando was at fault for the turn 12 incident at the end of the race, and that was a deserved penalty. We're going to get into that a little bit later. The thing for me is, and it's something that has really bugged me, not about Verstappen, but about Verstappen fanboys. And Graham, I'm not calling you out here. I'm calling the general fan out. Before anybody thinks I'm targeting poor Graham before he's
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm actually legitimately not targeting you because you always have a good head on your shoulders when it comes to stuff like this. But here's the quick
Thank
one.
you, man. I appreciate that. I'll take that.
So the thing for me is, so we all know Max Verstappen is Max Verstappen. He races hard. When a championship's on the line, he is going to push to the absolute limits of the rules. We know this, okay? And Lando was starting to get into that, even though I feel it's too little too late. The point being is, turn 12 incident, okay? So Lando is the aggressor because obviously he's the one attacking. And he puts Max into I want to say, a pinching predicament. Now, since 2021, there's been this whole war between whether you're a Lewis fan, whether you're a Leclerc fan, whether you're a Max fan, Lando, whoever was racing Max. There's been this whole stigma of Max can do whatever he wants, and the other drivers have to be good about it. But as soon as another driver puts Max under pressure, the amount of rude, inappropriate, and just plain stupid comments that people make about that driver drives me absolutely insane. And literally the line that I wrote here is, Max fans, learn to shut up. Because seriously, yes, like I said, I understand for this weekend Lando was guilty, and I am of that opinion. But don't go on a estrogen fuel bitch and moan session when Max is the one under pressure and something goes wrong within that form of racing. Because if you are that narrow-minded to just, my driver can do whatever he wants, but as soon as somebody else does that to him, they are guilty, you are not watching the sport for the right reasons. And I was absolutely furious after the race when I saw like all my social medias blowing up of people just going after Norris. And I'm just like, if Max does this, everyone cheers. Now, screw that driver, screw this. But as soon as it happens to Max, now everybody else is guilty. And that is something that I want to say. So if you are one of those Max fans watching this, yes, I am targeting you. Grow up. But what I want to get to the next.
Wait, sorry, before you move on, can I just touch on that? Because I disagree with you, but I agree with you, but I also disagree with you. I agree with you because that's what we see. But where I disagree with you is that I think the way social media works, we all know it's got to do with algorithms. We all know it's got to do with what you see is what you get. I see the completely other side. I see Max fans being nice, and I see all of the Merc fans going, do you know which is the only team of fans that aren't toxic? Ferrari.
Thank you.
Find me a Ferrari fan that's toxic. I've been saying this on TikTok for a long time. Find me a Ferrari fan that's toxic. Do you know why? Because Ferrari fans have been fans for years and years and years and years. Ferrari fans do not come from DTS, or Ferrari fans don't come from a dramatized series that have brought them into a sport. Ferrari fans are generally fans that have been long-time supporters of either the brand or the sport. So to me, the least toxic fans are Ferrari fans. You're a Ferrari fan, you see a lot of Ferrari stuff. So generally, you're going to see a lot of you will see possibly either or. For me, I just see a lot of Max haters, like all over the place. And it's 9 out of 10 times. Look, we know Max can push the limit, and we know sometimes he can go over it. Sometimes. All I see is the haters. Constant. And most of the time, it's just really unnecessary, not really logical at all. And like, for example, this incident with Lando, the amount of hate I've seen on Max itself, when personally, I don't think Max did anything. I think it's situational. I don't think he did anything wrong in terms of the rules, but I definitely think he played his card very tightly. Very tightly. Yes. For example, if Lando gave him the place back, it's very good potential they would have actually investigated Max for pushing him off.
Oh, yes.
I think it's very borderline. So I think with that being said, let's not. I don't want to take too long on this topic, but basically, all I'm trying to say is that I agree in the toxic behavior, but what I don't agree with is it's not just Max fans. It's Merc fans, it's Max fans, and nowadays McLaren fans are jumping in, and somehow Ferrari fans still just stay chilled. But now even McLaren fans are starting to get involved, and it's disgusting, man. I don't like it. I mean, yeah, dude, like, but yeah. I think just the understanding of what you see is what you get on social media. So I think, in terms of those people watching your comment now, I would just say as well that you just need to understand the premise of Formula One at the moment, where most of the people are coming from, and I think that makes a massive difference to how they behave. Because me, for example, I'm a Red Bull fan and a McLaren fan. Based on what I'm saying, that would make me extremely toxic, double time. But I'm a long-time supporter. And because I'm a long-time F1 supporter, you're not going to get that toxicity out of me. Why? Because a long-time supporter understands the game. He understands the rules. He understands how Formula One works. That's just how it works. And people are always going to hate those at the top, right? So that's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I completely understand your point of there is, and I mean, even if you really go search deep in the Ferrari realms, you will find a few toxic fans. I've seen them, but I will admit that I'm proud to say this, that of all the fan bases, I feel that we are one of the least toxic.
100%.
Look, the thing for me is, look, and I'll honestly admit this. There was a
sorry,
stage where
sorry, Dirk. I forgot to add the other team that doesn't have any toxic fans is Sauber, but that's because they don't really have any fans, I think. So,
okay, that's very true. But I want to put a bow on this and move on because you still got a lot to cover. The thing for me is I've seen McLaren fans getting into this, and I've seen some really toxic Hamilton fans. I get it. The Max fans, just for me, are, in my opinion, are so much worse than the rest. And they come in this, I want to say, crowd-based thing where they just go after everything and everyone. And you later on, you're just like, I'm not going to say anything because you don't deserve my time. And that's just the main thing for me. I know there's toxic fans everywhere, but the Max fans for me are the worst because they see Max Verstappen as Ayrton Senna times 10. He's the best ever, and there will never ever be anyone better than him. And that for me is a very naive way of thinking. But let's move on and get back to the positivity side of the podcast. So I've already put my side. BT, do you think the penalty towards Lando was actually deserved?
Yeah, I think the way I saw it is that it does. And I'm solely gonna blame it on patience. I mean, as Graham said yesterday in our group, that Lando did have another 4 laps to actually attack Verstappen again. He didn't have to overtake him on that lap, to be honest with you. And I also blame the McLaren team of not actually notifying Norris. Like, look, Norris, back down a bit. You are faster than him. We are gonna catch him. You know, just let this go, and we'll catch him again in the next lap. Understand? Because Norris was fast. Norris was fast, and Norris was going to beat Max. But the key word in that scenario is that Norris was so focused on beating Max and getting past Max, he wasn't able to calm down, relax, and realize he has the better car, the faster car in that stint of the race, and just buying his time. And maybe in a straight line, and when he gets DRS again, he would easily pass Max. Yes, Max was defending for his life. Defending for his life, to be honest with you. And he was doing a great job in terms of placing the car where we made it difficult for Norris to overtake. But I do blame Norris, and he does deserve it. And my opinion is just for a fact of not being patient enough. That's just my take. Yeah.
Okay. And Graham, your opinion on the penalty?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I'm going to start with saying like this. It's really sad when situations like this, we see some really, really solid, good, hard racing, good, hard action, and the headlines are somebody crashed or somebody got a penalty. I mean, I think what we should also talk about and what the headlines should actually say is for 10 laps. 10 laps. Max held him off. He was
Oh, yeah.
he was giving Max everything, but
Mhm.
Max held him off. And I'm sorry, like you can hate me all you want for saying this, and I am a fan. Yeah, I'm a fanboy, but I'm a fanboy of both these drivers. So I don't care what people think about what I say. But here's the reality of it. Max is an absolute king at that. He
Oh,
knows
yeah.
exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He didn't go over the line this time around. I say this time around, with the movements and so on. He did not go over the line. He positioned his car perfectly. He was extremely precise. He knew exactly when his car had the advantage on the track and when he didn't. And when he
Yes.
didn't, you could see he positioned his cars very differently. And I think we have to also just sit that back and say, let's just leave the penalty for a second and let's just clap hands for Max. Because I think he did an incredible job. I didn't mean literally, PT, but thank you. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
oh,
No,
my
no.
bad,
But
my bad.
but that's the point. Like the point is like you have these incidents and then it's so sad because we don't talk about what we should be talking about. We talk about what happened that was just a little bit unfortunate. But it was good hard racing, guys. It was good hard
Mm.
racing and it was fun to watch. Nobody can tell me they didn't enjoy watching that, regardless of the outcome. Obviously, McLaren fans aren't going to be happy. Yeah, for sure. And if Max was the one who got a penalty or came out second best, then Max fans were going to be unhappy. Yeah, for sure. It happens. But I mean, let's just appreciate the racing. I think that's the most important thing. But to get to the answer, yes, he deserved the penalty. It's a pure definition of an illegal overtake. You can't overtake on the outside. Like that's just that is the rules. Yes, you can argue that Max pushed him off. That's a different investigation. It's a different argument. But the argument is, was it an illegal overtake? Yes, it was an illegal overtake. You can't overtake like that. Um, again, I said it earlier. I think had Lando maybe given the place back, maybe they could have fought the stewards to investigate getting pushed off. And then maybe Max would have ended up with some kind of penalty because
Yeah.
he was towing the line in that sense. But here's the thing, right? He positioned that car in a way where even though Lando sort of passed him on the straight, he braked in such a way that at that apex, his nose was ahead. That gave him the right to the line. I mean,
Yes.
even Jensen was saying to Christian Horner that he just seems to know the regulations so well to just precisely get some things on point, and this was one of those reasons. I'm going to
Mm.
reiterate something that BT said. I don't want to take too long. I know we've got a time constraint, but I just want to say this. I made a video about it today on TikTok. I said it in our group yesterday. McLaren need to stop being a bunch of yes men. Genuinely, like I love the
Mm.
team. I really do. I love them. I've loved what they've been able to achieve. And look, they're still the leaders in the championship. So it's not like they're a dead team. They clearly something's working. But I just feel like they still like they're always trying to please their drivers. They've got all the data in front of them, all the information in front of them. Like they've got all the data points. They've got all the video camera angles. They've got onboards. They've got cameras on the wings. They've got everything. They can see everything. How is it that they could not see that Max was ahead at that apex? How?
Yes.
Mm.
How did they not? How could they say to Lando, we think that you were ahead. We think that it's going to be fine. Carry on driving. Like that's
Bro.
not like that doesn't make sense. It's not logical because first of
Mm.
all, four laps to go, probably the fastest car on the track at that point in time. He could have easily just backed off, let Max go again, and then had another go. And he said it himself after the race, Lando. He said, people don't realize like one of the reasons, and like he didn't say this part, but I think I'm going to add this part. This is one of the reasons why Max is so good and why people, for example, Max fans, think he's like Senna times 10. Because most of the pundits talk about him like that too, by the way. It's a story that we tell, right? He is just that good in the sense that Lando said it. With Max, you can't race him the same as other people. With Max, you have to commit. If you don't commit, even half-heartedly, if you commit only halfway, you'll come out second best. Why? Because Max is the king of chicken. He's the
Mm.
king of chicken. He won't back out for nothing, right? So the reality is, he will rather crash than back out. So for him, for Lando, Lando was saying, with Max, you have to commit. And he couldn't commit. The reality is, if they had to crash, who's it going to harm more, Max or Lando?
Lando.
Lando.
Exactly.
I mean, Max doesn't even have to beat Lando in every race. Max can come fourth and Lando can come third. That's a 3-point swing. That won't be enough for Lando to win the championship.
Yeah.
So the reality is, Max doesn't have to beat Lando every race. So if he can just eke out one race now, 3 points over Lando, maybe next race he loses to Lando, but maybe Ferrari come 1-2 again, it's not going to be enough for Lando. So, you got to weigh up the options of risk. And for Lando, there's far more risk. I think, again, I don't want to take too long, but guys, I've got to put this to perspective as well. I think it's something that we need to learn for those people that are perhaps maybe new to F1. I think some things that we need to also understand about racing. There's a level of risk involved in racing to every driver in a championship.
Yes.
At this point in time, the pressure is not on Max. You can say what you like. It's not. People think, oh, pressure's on Max because of Lando. He's 50 points clear. There's no pressure. There's 5 races. Do you know how much damage Norris has to do to Max for there to be pressure? The pressure is on Lando. The pressure's on Lando because he has to get that 7-point swing every single race. He has to get it. The pressure's on Lando far more than it is on anybody else. I get very upset now. I've seen so many things, people trashing Lando. I don't agree with it. Personally, I think you got to give Lando a bit of respect in the sense that he has to try and fight one of the most aggressive drivers we've ever seen in the sport for a championship title, right? He's coming from behind. He's got way more to risk. Okay, you expect it's one of those. What was I thinking earlier? It's like one of those damned if I do, damned if I don't situations.
Oh, yes.
He didn't take Max. Now he's not a good enough driver. But if he took Max, then he was going to be a world champion. It's like, no, it doesn't work out like that. That's not how it works. Like, he didn't do it because he couldn't fully commit, because Max was just really doing a damn good job. So he couldn't get it done. But it doesn't make him a bad driver. It just means that he couldn't get it done. Are you telling me that Lewis Hamilton's a bad driver because Alonso kept him behind him for half of Spa? No. That's my point. But in any case, I just wanted to say, like, people need to realize Lando has got all the risk. He's got all the pressure on him to make it happen. So I think people just need to give him a break as well. It was good hard racing, in my opinion. Yes, penalty was deserved, but it could have gone Max's way as well. Either way, it was good hard racing. And quite frankly, I'd prefer if penalties like that didn't exist, because I love watching racing like that, to be quite honest. Yes, I know they've got to stick within the lines, they've got to stick within the rules, but hey, come on, it's good entertainment, right? If it's not entertainment, what are we doing?
No, look, Ram, I agree with you. Look, I also think that this was Lando's penalty. I mean, at the apex of the corner, you can, even if you just watch the onboard, you don't even need the telemetry. You can hear Lando accelerate his car and go, I think it was something insane, like 5.5 car lengths off track. And yes, people argue, but Max also went off track and he did go for a very, I want to say, pointed defensive dive bomb. But I'm going to give Max his flowers. And I haven't seen such a good and consistent defensive job in a very long time. And honestly, of the two drivers, I honestly feel with how the Red Bull was within race pace behind the Ferrari. I mean, Saturday and Sunday for me, that was a different car. But compared to the lack of pace that they again showed on Sunday, Max deserved to win that battle because he was the better driver. He did the better job. So that's my opinion. And the last thing that I want to get to, Jets, I have to only touch on this because we still got a few things to talk about. And the next topic for me is a very important one. But as far as I'm concerned, 5 races to go, and you're looking at an average that Lando needs to outscore Max by is 11 points per race to win the championship now. For me, it's championship over for Lando Norris. I'm sorry to be that guy, but for me, and I said it in the summer break when McLaren was picking up their pace, I said that if it happens, amazing. But we're talking about Max Verstappen here. We're talking about a guy that can take the worst car on the grid, and I'm referring back to his Toro Rosso days. He can take the worst car on the grid and bring points to it. Now, what if you give him a front-running car? I don't care if the other cars are a second a lap faster. He will still be in championship contention. And the fact that he's got such a big lead, this championship now, in my opinion, is all about the constructors' fight. And I don't think Lando is sniffing
Yeah.
this championship. That's my honest opinion.
What's the
BT,
next
what's your
race?
opinion? Mexico.
Mexico. Perfect. Perfect. That's a perfect track. So if Oscar could just pull a Bottas, I'm just saying the only
Guys,
way it's let's be honest, guys. Sorry, I know you wanted to ask BT first, but I'm going to be very quick. I'm not going to talk about this too long because personally, I agree with you. I don't have much more to add. All I want to say is the only way Lando wins now is if Max has at least one DNF,
yes.
for whatever reason. But other than that, there's just no ways Lando's winning this. So again, as I said, the pressure's not on Max. The pressure's not on Max. People need to get that right. The pressure's not on Max. The pressure is on Lando. So unless Oscar wants to get involved, anyways,
Physically.
BT. Yeah, BT, go for it.
Now I'm just gonna say a few words as well. That Hungary Grand Prix,
Yeah.
it's wanting there. And
Oh, yes.
we did tell you at some point, 5 points was going to make a difference this past weekend, bro. Huge difference. Add those 25 points to the points that Lando has now. And Verstappen has the same points. How
Yeah.
far is the gap? Like,
No, that's very
really
true.
upsets me because Piastri end up winning in Baku. Piastri end up winning in Baku, a race that he fully deserved. So he didn't need to win Hungary. And that's what McLaren would look that weekend is the race that McLaren would look back after the season is done. So there's no way that Lando's winning now. It's done.
Yeah, but
And
to be honest, sorry, that wasn't the only race, eh?
no, but
Yeah, but
Hungary's not the only race that McLaren caused problems for Lando. If McLaren had done things properly, we could have had a real big title fight right at the moment. But it's
But Graham, I see the bigger picture that that BT is pointing to. It's not just about the physical points. Lando's mental fortitude and the momentum that he could have carried just by that Hungary win. Screw all the rest, with all due respect.
yeah,
That
for sure.
Hungary win would have put Lando in such a different mindset, because I think that is the race where not just he lost points, but he lost a certain degree of trust in that team. And
Yeah,
since
for sure.
then, Lando has not been the same. And it's for me, it's not just about the physical points. For me, it's about and I mean, we've seen so many podcasts and interviews with these drivers where they talk for hours about your mental strength is more important than your physical strength, because if you're mentally not in the sport, you're going to lose your seat quicker than you gained. And that's so true.
For sure.
And
I watched
sorry, Graham. And before we go, the risk that Graham is talking about now, not the risk, the pressure that Graham is talking about in terms of Lando. Lando was not going to be under pressure if that race was given to him.
Yeah.
That pressure was not going to exist.
I watched the podcast with Otmar today. And he was explaining a lot about the mental side of it. And because they asked him about Daniel, and even Will Buxton. I watched a podcast with Will Buxton today as well. They also asked him about Daniel. It seems like everybody's asking everybody about Daniel, and nobody can give them an answer. Like, no, everybody is so confused as to how Daniel went from who he was to what he is now, because that doesn't just happen in Formula One. You don't just forget how to win, but there's something clearly gone wrong with this mentality, and that is probably what a race like that could have caused Norris. So I agree 100%. The mentality shift is such an important thing to get right.
Yeah, that's completely true. But okay, once again, I'm going to squish a few points together so that we can talk about it and get it out of the way. First thing that I want to talk about, Liam Lawson, Pierre Gasly, Franco Colapinto, and Kevin Magnussen were absolute treats to watch this weekend. Those four drivers, when it was a bit boring at the front and the camera shifted to them, those four overtaking, going for moves, the racing was insane. But I want to like really put a light, like a shining light on Liam Lawson and Franco Colapinto. First, the point that I want to get to. Franco Colapinto is an overtaking genius. Some of the moves he pulled in this race is similar to that first corner move in Singapore. He gives me a bit of Max vibe. He's like, there's a gap. I'm going to send it. If it fails, big whoop. I don't have a seat for next season thus far. If it doesn't fail, I look like a genius. And he is. He's looking so good. But then I want to touch on Lawson. And the only thing I wrote here, and we talk about it so much, but now it is really like it is apparent. Perez needs to go now, get Lawson in that second Red Bull seat. The kid's got it. The kid's got it. And I think he's the best potential for Max not to destroy.
Yeah, you're giving me goosebumps, eh? Nah, genuine. I'm getting goosebumps just saying stuff like that, dude. Like, I've been waiting for this kid to come into the sport for so long. I mean, BT, before Dirk, before you even joined this podcast with us, we've been talking about Lawson. And honestly, this kid is something special. I've been following him since F2, since before that, actually. Super Formula, I've been following him. And, you know, he's just such a good kid. You know, he can sing. I think we've spoken about this before. He's just such a talented guy, just in general. And on the track, dude, who goes toe to toe with a two-time world champion, like one of the best of all time, and then you half get threatened by the guy, and you just the next day you do it again. It's the same guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's like
Look,
he's got no scam, man. No scam at all. He's just like whatever, man.
Look, even as like I will honestly admit, and I've done so many times on the podcast, I am an absolute Alonso fanboy. I love Fernando Alonso, and it's a hill I will die on. But even after the sprint race, the comments that Lawson left, because I read the stuff on social media, I couldn't help but just sit on the couch and burst out in laughter. I'm like, this kid has got cojones. He just doesn't care. He's made it clear. He wants that Red Bull seat, and he's going for it. And all good luck to you, kid. Go for it, because I think you deserve it. And I mean, just Perez, go into an early retirement. You've made all your money with your sponsors and Red Bull. It's time for the young ones to come in. BT, your opinion?
I mean, look, I'm just going to say, like, the future of Formula One is in good hands in terms of Lawson and Pinto. I'm sure Pinto at some point is going to get a seat in Formula One. He's fantastic. He's amazing.
Audi would be stupid not to take him.
I also agree with you.
Yeah.
I also agree with you on that one. And the thing is, what I said in the group yesterday, I think Graham commented that I think Albon needed a teammate like that to really show his true colors. I'm not saying Albon is not fast enough, but Colapinto is challenging Albon. And we're seeing a different different racing in Williams now. Because Albon now, his mentality probably is like, I need to step up. Yes, I was beating what's his name? I even forgot his name. Sargent. I was beating what's the other one who used to crash a lot? Graham, your best friend?
Latifi.
Latifi. I mean, he was making mincemeat out of those two drivers. But Colapinto is probably making Albon think a bit in terms of his performance. And Albon, you did get a contract and you did get some money. So, and you are supposedly a number one driver. And Sainz is coming to your team next year. If Colapinto is beating you, what is Sainz going to do to you? And that's all I'm going to say.
No, I agree.
Cue Dirk's note.
Yeah, Graham, you touched on my next one. And he deserves the final Sauber/Audi seat next season next to Hulkenberg. And Graham, honestly, when the race was done and Leclerc, Sainz, and Verstappen were busy doing their interviews, the only thought going around in my head was like, if I was Sauber right now, I would be busy phoning Audi like, hey guys, we need this kid. He is
Yeah.
phenomenal. Get Colapinto in this car. I know we're talking to Bottas. I know we're talking to a bunch of other drivers. Colapinto is the one. We want
They
Colapinto.
talking to Mick Schumacher, bro. They talking
Bro,
to Mick Schumacher. Come on.
don't get me started even on that. And the other thing that we've already touched upon it, and BT, you just mentioned it as well. And this is my personal opinion, and hate me if you want. Hate me if you want, but I firmly believe this. Sainz, I think, is going to destroy Albon next season.
Of course.
I think Sainz is going to do what Alonso did to Stoffel Van Dorn. He's going to crush him, and everybody's going to be like, was Albon's teammates really just that crap? That someone that came from Ferrari that actually, we just talked about it, that suffered a massive mental blow being replaced by Hamilton and losing a front-running seat. And he's just coming into this team and he's just like, fups, done with you, to prove to the top teams that I still deserve to be there. And the hunger that Sainz is brewing inside of him now, he knows next season is a make or break season for him. I don't see Albon taking the fight to Sainz a lot. I honestly think Sainz is going to destroy Albon next season. And Graham, your opinion on this?
Oh, sorry, man. I just have to laugh, man, because I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's kind of rhetorical, right? Because you don't, like, nobody knows what's going to happen. Personally, I think Sainz is definitely going to get the better of Albon overall. Do I think he's going to crush Albon? I don't know. I still think Albon's good. He's just had he's just lost a bit of form now at the end of the season, but he's still been very consistent for that team. He's still built that team up. He's still brought them into the points more regularly over the last 2 years. I think he's just lost a little bit of form, but it's Albon. I think he'll get it back again. Will he be better than Sainz? I don't think he is better than Sainz. No, I don't think he is, because Sainz has been able to prove that he is more aggressive. He's been able to prove that he's willing to do what it takes. But do I think Sainz is going to absolutely smash him? No. I'm looking forward to a Williams 5-7. I'm looking forward to a Williams 4-7, and that's it, probably in the favor of Carlos Sainz, but I think both of them will be point scoring drivers. I think both of them will be worthy of being within the team and staying in that team together as a pair. But I look forward to them scoring double points in most races, which I think is going to happen. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that. But yeah, I think just to go back to Colapinto, Audi would be stupid not to take him. And just to get back to Lawson finally, I just wanted to say, honestly, I told you so. That's it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, it was the same like with the Ferrari chance at the constructors. There's a good chance that Sainz is going to destroy Albon next year. And honestly, I love Albon. I hope it doesn't happen. But I just think the Carlos Sainz that we have now, that with this absolute need to prove to Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull that he deserves to be there. I feel, and it's not literal, but I feel in certain aspects he's going to see Albon as a stepping stone. And I honestly hope he doesn't destroy him. But with Williams' upwards trajectory, I think next season we're going to see a few times Williams double points. And I can't wait for the Sainz Albon battle. And
I
now,
like
James,
it, yeah. Before you go on, dude, like I like the idea of it, but I will say this: sometimes competition crushing you is not a bad thing.
Oh,
I
yes,
think,
no,
I think
agree.
I think Albon definitely has the talent to be a good driver in Formula One. He's just not been challenged for 2 years. So, Colapinto is now starting to challenge him. Sainz is a whole different breed of like person. He's going to come, and when he starts challenging, Albon's going to definitely have to pick up his shoes. And let's be honest, Albon has not ever been a bad driver. I mean, you look at that year against Max. He was doing better against Max than what Perez was technically, if you consider the time difference, and better than what Gasly did against Max. So ultimately, Albon is not. He's definitely a good driver. He definitely has what it takes. All I think he needs is to be challenged for him to make that next step up. You talk about he's made that step up for Williams as their lead driver, but he needs to make that step up now to be that really good potential for the future. And I think he needs someone like Sainz to come along to push him. So that's my take.
It's similar to Mercedes when Hamilton went to Merck and Rosberg was there. We knew Hamilton is way better than Rosberg. Rosberg won a championship against Lewis. It happened. And that made Rosberg raise his game up as well in order for him to win that championship. Same situation.
And then retired because he was scared to do it again.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Well, that's a podcast by itself. Okay, James, we need to wrap up because our time constraint is really catching up to us. The one final thing that I want to talk about quickly, and I love this driver, and I do have a soft spot for him, but this weekend proved to me, and again,
Logan doesn't race anymore.
No, man. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. And it comes back to the Liam Lawson topic. Yuki Tsunoda proved why Red Bull don't want him next to Verstappen this weekend. It's harsh, but it's true. Tsunoda proved why Red Bull don't want him. And it pains me to say this because, like I said, I've got a soft spot for Yuki. I feel he has had some of the best team radio comedy in the past 3 seasons. But besides that, there have been instances where people have been like, this Yuki kid is kind of fast, but he's just mistake happy. And just as he started to figure out his mistakes, in comes this New Zealand kid, and he obliterates Yuki in his first race. And I understand Red Bull's perspective now. And gents, let's touch upon this quickly. But BT, your opinion.
Look, I also have a soft spot for him, to be honest with you. The only thing that irks me about him is that he's not aware of the race. He needs to work on that. Because when he put it, or when he saw Lawson was in front of him, he kept on asking like, what happened? No, Lawson was faster than you, bro. Lawson undercut you. He did that. Yeah. Your own teammate
overcut
you. Overcut. Yeah. So that's the first thing I noticed. He's not good under pressure. Under pressure, he panics. He gets upset, screams on the radio, and for this past weekend, he had too many unforced errors. Too many unforced errors in this race because he was in a good position. He was within the points. However, in the second stint, I don't know what happened. And I think those 3 things he needs to work on that. Speed-wise, he has no problem. I do think he's fast, but it's those small fundamentals that I just listed now that is stopping him from getting to the next level. I'm not saying he's going to become a championship or anything like that. Just becoming a solid driver. That's all.
Yeah.
Graham, in your opinion?
I mean, I said it last week, right? I don't really rate him. I don't think he's that good. I just think Daniel really did struggle. Where I think Yuki is great, I think Yuki is the Bottas of the Red Bull family. The man can qualify. He's good on one lap. He's a solid. He's a safe driver. He really is. He's a safe driver. But he's not the, you think about Red Bull being the top dog team. He's not the top dog team driver. You can't, if he was a top dog team driver, he was just going to be there to be a second driver. He's never going to go there to challenge. Lawson will go there and actually put up a challenge.
Yes,
so for me,
Lawson is better than him. Lawson is better than him. There's no doubt. No doubt about that.
And I mean, it's just one race, right? And we're already saying that. But I mean, last year with the 5 races, Lawson also beat Yuki in those 5 races, if you think about it. Yeah, to me, Lawson is definitely what Red Bull need in the future. Yuki, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be an F1. I don't rate him, really. I think he's great over one lap as a racer. I think he deserves to be there. I just don't think he's that great, really, to be honest. I can't say I have a soft spot for him, to be honest. I don't really.
No, and every person to himself. Look, the main thing for me is just, yes, Yuki for me is that, and I'm sorry to make a comparison to this person, but he's the perfect Hulkenberg. He's that guy that you can see at the top of the midfield on his day, but he's not going to stay there. But he's a good midfield driver. He's just not the caliber of a Verstappen, a Leclerc, a Hamilton, a Russell, or with all due respect, a future Lawson, I hope. But
Yeah.
to the viewers, I want to pose to you guys a question because we're gonna continue this in the next podcast, and then we're gonna end tonight. Lewis Hamilton is over Mercedes, and the incident that Lewis had on Sunday was identical to Russell's in the sprint. We're going to quickly touch on this in next week's podcast because there's a lot about Mercedes that we didn't get to. But James, let's get quickly into it. Your blooper
I personally think that Hamilton was just trying to mock Russell.
Don't spoil it for the fans. We need them to get back here because this is going to be a topic that's going to be broadened a bit as well, because there's a few things here that I want to touch upon, but that's in next week's episode. So make sure you subscribe and come back for next week's podcast. Now, James, blooper of the weekend. Graham, go for it.
Oh my goodness, I haven't even thought about this. BT, you go first. Hang on, wait, I didn't even remember what happened now.
BT,
Oh,
your
you
blooper of the weekend.
Yuki Tsunoda, bro.
Yuki. Okay,
Yuki.
awesome. I understand your point, and it is apparent. Graham, you want me to go while you still think?
Who was that? Was it Ocon that was right at the back? Oh no, Aston Martin. Your Aston Martin were nowhere. What the flip was going on? Wait, what was going on with Aston Martin?
We actually didn't get to it due to our time constraint, but I mean, one of my topics were that Aston Martin are the new tractors. They have joined Sauber in the tractor realm, because now that Alpine have escaped it, they needed someone to replace it. And guess what? Window licker Lance Stroll and Aston Martin have joined, and they've pulled Alonso with them. Sad days. Now,
hang on, don't they have a tractor sponsor?
Oh my goodness.
JCB,
No,
they do. They got JCB sponsored.
All right. Graham, don't keep ruining this. Okay, let's move on. Oh no. In any case, all right. All right.
Yeah.
My bloop of the weekend, and I'm honestly going just straight down the middle. For me, it's Lando Norris. I feel this weekend was an opportunity for Lando to really stamp authority down on Verstappen, and with him and the team's combination, they failed. So for me, your blooper of the weekend is Lando Norris. Now, moment of the weekend, and I'm going to go first because I want to take this one. The first Ferrari 1-2 since 2006 in the United States. I will take it every day of the week till Christmas. Ferrari 1-2 is my moment of the weekend. Graham, now you're on the spot. You can't throw it to BT now. Let's go.
Well, I guess at this point we don't need to get Dirk a Christmas present because he already got one.
Yeah.
Great.
Bro,
that saves me money.
And then USGP with a 1-2, I'm happy. I don't need a Christmas present. I'm good. My Ferrari heart is beating like a V12 engine.
I don't care.
That saves me money. Thanks, guys. That saves me a lot of money. I really appreciate it. Okay. Moment of the weekend, gents. That battle was pure bliss. So moment of the weekend, just that battle. I just think that's what we need. That's what we want. That's what we're here for. That's all. Max versus Lando. That's what we want.
Oh yes. BT.
I have two. First one.
Greedy as hell.
We have to give it to Russell, bro. Russell had a good race.
Okay, yeah, I will agree.
Russell had a fantastic race.
Very underestimate. What's the word? Underrated.
He
went under the radar.
Very. Yes, wasn't even in the driver.
I was very impressed with Russell's race. He took control of everything. He had a penalty. He still finished within the points. Did he beat Perez? Did he go past Perez?
Yes, he overtook him with 3 laps to go.
You went past Perez as well. After being behind for nearly 31 seconds, Perez, I don't know what the hell you're doing in F1. I don't know what you're doing in F1. I don't know what you're doing, first of all. My second, I have to give it to my boy. Leclerc, besides the win, you took control of the race. You took control of the strategy. You were aware of everything, and that deserves a moment of the week as well, for the weekend as well. So yeah, I have two.
All right, all good, gents. And the final thing, and BT, we're going to stick with you. Your race of your race rating for the United States Grand Prix.
I'll give it a 7. 7.5.
Yo,
Okay,
that
yeah,
seems
you have to pick one. You have to pick one. 7 or
sounds
7.5.
oddly low to me.
7.5.
All right, Graham.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a solid 8.5.
Wow. All right. And my inner Ferrari fanboy will come out. But besides that, Max Lando battle, insane. Like I mentioned, Colapinto, Magnussen, Lawson, and Gasly, epic. It was a very good weekend. The best sprint race of the year, in my opinion, as well.
For sure, we didn't
Kota,
even talk about that.
yeah, Kota. From me, you're getting a 9 out of 10. What a
Wow.
weekend! Can't wait for Mexico. Can't
Yeah.
wait for Mexico. And Ferrari's on top where they deserve to be. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We did go a bit over our time schedule. We're working to get the podcast a little shorter, so just bear with us. Make sure if you haven't liked yet to drop a like down below. And if you've made it this far and you've not yet subscribed, Graham and BT, I know you're going to laugh. Hit the subscribe down below and don't forget to ding that bell to never miss a future podcast here at Break at the Apex. Graham, final thoughts and then your goodbyes.
Final thoughts. Can't wait for Mexico. And yeah, that's about it.
BT?
Los Hamilton. 2 months, baby. 2 months,
Oh,
baby.
yeah.
Jeez,
months.
dude. Stop now. Come on.
It's so close. Guys, my final thoughts. I'm just overly excited for these final 5 races. We're going to end 2024 on a high and go into 2025, which is already going to be an insane season on a high. Bring it on. We are ready. Guys, see you on the next podcast. Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Well done, Dirk. Spot on.
Nice.